I'm joined by, you are just one of my favourite people at the moment when I watch football games. Do you know why, Micah, yeah? Let me tell you why you're one of my favourite people, yeah? Because you bring a sense of normality to watching football anyway. Because you just feel like you're enjoying it as well. But I think the reason why I was like, this guy's here to stay, yeah? Is when they tried it, bro. He was on Sky and they tried to talk about the caps. And you said, hey, hang on a sec. I played for England. I said, nah, man, this guy, he's here to stay in it. Because you see some ex-pundits, they come and they go. I was like, no, Mika's here to stay in it. And obviously, I think what it is, you're very warm as a pundit as well. I feel like I met you before I even knew you. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I think honestly, man, and brother, as a defender as well, you've won things, man. You know what I mean? There's one because there's some pundits out there. And I'm like, and we know who the pundits are, innit?
Name them.
I don't want to disrespect the man because I have played in the Premier League and stuff. But there's certain pundits, and I'm like, big man, you come on, man.
What are you doing? But the thing is though, you don't have to be a good player or ex-player to be a good pundit though. That's like saying you can't be a good manager because you're not playing football.
But I don't know, but it's like comedy, you've got to be funny though. Do you see what I'm saying? The credentials at least. You know what I mean? Because okay, let's say, right, okay, Thierry Henry, he done some punditry, right? Yeah. A lot of people said he wasn't really a good pundit. But at the same time, I could still see his opinion because I was like, okay, you played at the highest level. Mm-hmm. So when he's talking about certain things, I'm like, okay, cool. Maybe his breakdown of certain things weren't really for me, but I could still be like, okay, I believe him. But there's certain players that be slagging off other players, like you scumbag. So
you can't do it like that, you know.
So welcome to the podcast. Welcome to the Mo Gilligan podcast, Micah. How are you, man? How are you? You seem like you're always on good vibes. Your vibes are like my vibes.
When he asked me to come, I want to run down here. To run down the motorway to come because, like, I like to be positive. You know what I mean? I think there's too much negativity in the world, and you can see it in like punditry and whatever I do. Like, I'm just enjoying life. You know, it was a hard start when I was younger.
Yeah.
But then, like, now, like, what have I got to be negative about? The working for Sky, BBC, CBS. What could I?
Just listing it off, you know. Sky, CBS, BBC. Sick.
Yeah. What have I got to be negative about? I'm a positive person. I'm just happy I've got this chance, but I've got to like grab it with two hands though, because like you said. Jokingly before, like there's people that come in and out of the game.
Yeah.
And it's difficult to stay relevant. And because like I did well in my career, but I could have done so much more.
Yeah.
So like there's always gonna be someone who's gonna retire, who's got more accolades, who's gonna the trophies. He might have played for bigger clubs, let's say, who are gonna be wanting to speak about football. So
yeah, of course.
Like when I going on there with Roy Keane, and Gary Neville, and what they've won in the game, I can't compete with that.
Yeah.
But I can compete in terms of being on camera, making them feel a little bit different. You know, like, because like you said, Roy Keane, when he first come on there, he was like, I said, burst onto the scene. And he looked at me, burst onto the scene. But then I had to think fast, you know, when I think on my feet. I was like, no, hold on. Play for England at 18. I didn't know, you know, and it went on. So, the punditry, it's difficult, but I think to stay consistent, you've got to stay relevant as well. And that's going to be the hardest challenge for me.
But I think it's also really nice when you see like ex-players after they finish football, because punditry, it feels like you really get to see their personality a lot as well. Do you know what I mean?
It's hard though, but there's so many people who've got good personalities, footballers that I've played with. But like as soon as they go in the camera, they're like a bit like camera shy. Man, don't be shy. Show people what you've got. Like a lot of people saying, "Oh, I didn't know you'd be, you know, good on the camera and whatnot." I was like, but you know, if you look at Man City's videos, MCTV back in the day, it was all me on there just messing around anyway. So like I did drama at school, always like to mess around and all that stuff. So what I've got to do though is get that balance right though, because I don't want people to just come on there and think, oh, he's just here for a laugh and a joke, because I'm making some serious points. So it's just about finding that balance. But I'm loving it, man. Loving it.
So tell me a little bit about like before football, like early Micah, like from Leeds, Chapeltown.
Yeah,
That's the hood I know about that area, you know.
listen, it's greasy up north, you know. You London guys always talking about London this, like, listen. Leeds, it's peak up north, you know.
I know about Leeds. Let me tell you something. Leeds, yeah. You know what it is as well, yeah. There's hoods everywhere, innit? But like, especially like, you know, Leeds, Manchester, you know, all these places. It's a hood, but it's cold as well.
That's what I'm saying.
Physical cold, bro.
It's freezing up there.
Like you see, like in London, you can have a puffer jacket and not really be that cold. Like today, you need a puffer jacket, yeah. But in Leeds, it's the hood and it's cold.
It's cold.
Snowing.
It's freezing.
That's a real hood, man.
Yeah.
It's like Chicago. Like Philly. Like us Londoners, we're like Brooklyn, innit? You man are like Philly, just really cold.
Serious though. It is cold up north.
Yeah.
But no, I never claimed to be like some hard man and all that. But I know like the ends that I come from. It's real life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
I never like try hide that. That's just where I'm from. And it was always tough because I've seen some things that like people would never want to see. I've seen someone getting beat up with a hammer. We've all seen guns fired.
We all see. I said we. I seen man get slapped in his face once, and I said, "Nah, I never want to get slapped."
Yeah, I got like he was on the floor, and it was like that moment just changed everything in my life. I was like,
yeah.
Like, I can't see this. Like, but on the floor and keep going and going and going. And that, like, for a couple of years, you talk about early life, that just messed with my mental health a little bit. I don't want to see it. But, like, I don't just want to paint, like, Chapeltown in a bad light because there's so many, like, positive people doing great community work as well. So it's, like, a bit of both. But, yeah, early life, I loved it. Like, I knew no different. You know what I mean?
And how did you get into football? Was you, like, because you know what it is with, like, you know, I've when I was young and you grew up, there's always someone and you're like, oh, like he's good for his age. Like, you know, there'll be like an 8-year-old who's twisting up like 16-year-olds. Like, so was you always like the kid in the ends who was the prospect, or did it come a little bit later on in life, or was football just this is what I wanted to be? Nah,
so there was one other guy who was called Venom. Yeah, his real name was Dwight.
Okay,
and he was the one like in Chapeltown and whatnot. Like he was playing for Bradford and whatnot, but he was playing like he was strong, he was fast, technical. So he was the one who everyone thought he's definitely going to make it. By far, like the best player at that age I've seen. You know what I mean? And then I was there in the background, and I was to play with him. He was a couple of years older than me, but then there was one time where like he tried to get past me. And a shoulder badge, oh, he's strong.
Yeah.
Like, all his man them are laughing at like his roommate. All his man them are laughing at him. You know what I mean?
That's worse than nutmeg. It's worse than a nutmeg.
Yeah, it's worse than a nutmeg. So all these men are laughing at him. But I'm thinking this could go either two ways. Either like I'm fighting here. Do you know what I mean? Or I'm gonna get some respect. And luckily, I earned his respect from that. So I always looked up to him as a footballer. Yeah. And then he went down a different path. But I always used to play with like people older than me, and like at school I was playing like ages above and whatnot. And I always felt like it's not being big headed, but I was always better than the people my age.
Yeah, 100%.
But the higher you go, the harder it becomes. I was playing for school. I was playing in net, grabbing the ball and dribbling past everyone and scoring goals. That's how easy it was. Then I went to Leeds City Boys, which went to Leeds United, got released at 10.
Yeah.
And that was tough. And
what's it like though for a 10-year-old to get released?
That's what I mean. I think mental health is like, it's just so important because everyone always sees like, you see the cars, the houses and all that. But if your mind's not right, you can easily veer off a different way.
Yeah, 100%.
And like mentally, like I think he's one of the most important if you want to be as a footballer, because there was times I'd go to my room and just cry. You know, when I got released, I was like, it's embarrassing. You know, you can't tell your friends that, we're training tomorrow at Leeds, and like, I got released. You know what I mean? It's like, it's tough, but again, later on in life, it makes you stronger. So if I want to have that, like I've had times in my career later on, I've done really well, but there's times when I've been relegated. So, but that sort of prepared me for later in life. Yeah, 100%. I think, but for a young kid to go through that, difficult. Yeah. Very difficult. Because
I think, as I said, if you're that young prospect in your area, everyone's almost like putting their chips on you, like gambling on you, like. And I've seen it where you got this young youth, and everyone's like, don't do the bad stuff. You're not about this life, innit? Yeah. And I could imagine what that must do on the mental health of some, especially young people now, because when you're looking at footballers now, it's almost like footballers are getting younger and younger and becoming world stars. Like Mbappe, for an example. Do you know what I mean? You look at him at 21, like, so I can't imagine, because I think for me as a kid, like, I grew up being, I want to be a footballer. But I'm at 16 now, and it's not.
You miss your boat.
It's not happening, boy. And you're like, come on, man. Arsene Wenger might just come down to. You might come down to Tooting Bet Common. Like, you never know, man. So yeah, but I think definitely, the mental health in football, it's so good that you speak about that, and you're speaking about that now. If there's any young footballers that are listening, because I think it's such a integral part of the game now. 100%. Like it wasn't when I used to watch football and I was like a teenager. It's just that you play football, bang goals, isn't it? But you don't look at the other side of it.
It's social media as well, though. It affects all of us. Like sometimes you've got comments. I've had comments before. There's nothing not racial or anything like that, but just like you could be like having someone like gassing you up, and you're like, you feel like $1 million. You know what I mean? And then like get them one or two negative. It hurts deep inside here. Do you know what I mean? And we're older, so imagine what he's doing for the kids. And like social media can be used in so like positive light. I love social media, but also there's that side of it where they're putting too much pressure on kids too young. You know what I mean? Like there's all these videos about they can do this skill and that skill and that, but really it's like what they say, smoke and mirrors. It's not real life. It's just like a fantasy. You know what I mean? And it's not real. Like there's people on there, like people see Ronaldo, like they don't want to see now, but they don't see what goes on behind that. I think that's what a lot of people don't see. If you're not talking about like Ozil and stuff like that, we all know he's earning too much money for what he's doing for the team, but like mentally, we don't know what's going on behind. He could be working harder than anyone, and the only it's me. I'm in the media now. I've got to sort of change that perception of the way football are perceived, because it's not great. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
But at the same time, we have to understand that there's people earning 10, 15 grand a year. Do you know what I mean? And sometimes it does feel like footballers or people in the media are rubbing it in their faces. So it's just getting that balance, man.
Yeah, 100%. How was your early, because you was on loan at Oldham, right? You went to Oldham.
I went to Oldham at 11,
Yeah, then you went to Man City.
At 14, yeah.
So talk to me about this Man City team, because this is Man City before the money came. Like
before the riches.
Yeah, before it was like it went to, because for me it felt like Real Life Football Manager happened. Like I remember that day very vividly on Sky as an Arsenal fan. Why didn't they go to Oldham? Oh, they played you. Oh man! And the thing is, that squad wasn't a bad squad.
Yeah, it was good.
It was definitely on the up, because I remember like Joey Barton was there. Stephen Ireland as well. Bad boy player.
Daniel Sturridge
as well.
Ishmael Miller, Nader Manua, Michael Johnson. We had some good players. Like it was the reason why a lot of like the youth academy was so good, because they were spending a lot of money on bringing the players through. Like Sean Wright Phillips was the first one. Shout out Sean. He was the one to come through and give everyone a little bit of hope back then. And I was lucky enough to play for him for Man City in England. But back then it was different, because it was more, it's a family club, and it still is a family club now to a certain extent, but like, there's so much pressure now on the players to do well, which pressure's nothing wrong with pressure. Sometimes pressure is good, but like the infrastructure now from when I first went there, it was just crazy. Like I remember sitting down with Khaldoon, and he just said, in 10 years, we're going to build up the infrastructure, we're going to offer loads of jobs out, build up the community. All that work that he's done, a lot of people talk about like the money we spend on players, but the money he's done around the city has just been incredible. And like when the investment came in, it was always going to be harder. You got to step your game up.
Yeah.
Not saying that
it's like that with any team that gets a huge investment. You look at Chelsea for an example as well. You know,
it's difficult, but you know, I won a Premier League. I never believed I would do that. I thought when I was young, because like when it was mess about and like I thought at 18, 19, 20, 21, I would have to leave Man City. Soon as that investment came in, I was like, I'm not going anywhere. I'm here for life. You know what I mean? You can't move me now. You can't get rid of me.
Yeah.
So I wanted to me in my career when I was a young boy, FA Cup was like I wanted to win FA Cup. So I ticked that box. Then to win a Premier League, like, I know people like try to play down people's achievement, but winning the Premier League, no matter who win it, like it's a massive achievement. So when I did that, it was just incredible. I was thankful for the investment in the end.
Yeah. So you're sitting there now. You know, you're at Man City, come through the ranks, yeah, and then this investment comes. So are you in a place of like you're saying that I'm here to stay, but how does the mood change? Because the way that you described it really sounds like me and the man them. Everyone's like a local boy from somewhere. Do you know what I mean? And then now overnight, it's almost like reminds me of when I used to work in retail. I'm having so much fun. Stockroom guy, you know what I mean? There's delivery guy. Everyone knows each other. Then it's like, manager's leaving, and we've got a new company taking over. My name's Greg. I'm going to be the boss looking over. You're like, big man, who is this guy, bro? You're telling me to put the coat hangers to the left. Do you know what I mean? So did it become more competitive? Was it cliquey at times?
It was crazy. I went from, I'm not afraid to say, one of the highest paid at the time to one of the lowest paid in like 6 months.
Wow.
So I'm like scratching my head. I'm thinking like, I was supposed to be like, I was playing for England and I was like the big investment. I was supposed to be the big.
Because you was linked with a lot of clubs. You were linked with Arsenal.
I was linked with Arsenal, but but Wenger didn't want to pay the money at the time.
I swear down.
No, so basically there was Chelsea was interested, Man U was interested, and Arsenal.
Yes, I remember this.
So Arsenal didn't want to pay the money. Man U did want to pay the money, but City won't sell me to Man U because of the rivalry. And then Chelsea, there was never really offer on the table, but it was genuine interest. There was a couple of times Chelsea. So then Arsenal, so my former dipped at this time. Yeah, so I was big man in the team. The next minute I was playing awful.
Yeah.
Then like Arsenal got offered me again.
Yeah.
And Wenger turned it down.
Man.
He turned it down. He snubbed him, man.
Bruv. And I remember them times because the centre backs we had them times. Who do we have? They give us big ourselves history, bro. I don't know if you got. And I remember that so vividly. I don't even know if I'm saying his name right. He's so I don't know what the brother's name is, yeah. The baddest thing is, I met him recently at a soccer aid, innit? Such a blessed guy, yeah? And I'm like, brother, I remember you at United, innit? I don't want to disrespect, man. But our Arsenal, when we played United in that Champions League, yeah? Oh, man. I said, come on, man, can we get our money back? We didn't even pay anything, but I said, no. We were struggling them times, man. That's when because I vividly remember we needed a centre-back. And it's mad because I feel like at that time as an Arsenal fan, I remember us getting linked with almost everyone and we never got them, but they went somewhere else and it was good. Like Gary Cahill, yourself, so many centre-backs. And we just get, Senderos, man.
Why are you making me laugh?
Senderos, man.
You can't do that.
These are the guys we had, you know. Oh, man. Getting pumped against United, you know. Getting pumped, bro. Henri had just left. We were in the Emirates. We was like, it's going to be great when we get to the Emirates. Nah, man. Don't get me wrong, we had that Adebayor, Abuwe, a couple man.
Abuwe was amazing. Adebayor was...
Abuwe was just vibes. You know what I mean? Like, let's not lie. Abuwe, yeah? He was just a good vibe.
Why you doing to me?
Abuwe was just vibes, man.
Violating man.
He's just doing the Zonto in the change room. You know the guys. He's just one of those guys, isn't it? But you need them. You need them guys in the squad. Don't get me wrong. You need them guys in the squad, innit? Hey, what's going on, bro? Good to see you, man. I like this guy, you know. You don't even stop. I like this Abuhe guy. Hey, dietitian. No.
Oh, stop it, bro.
Pounded yamming. Nah, man, you gotta get a dietitian Abuhe, man. You know. No, I'm from Africa. I'm African, man.
Stop it.
He's been a steamed fish. You know, you got the English players as well. Hey, mate, what you got there, Abuhe? Abuhe, what you got there, mate? Don't worry about it. Jack Wilshere and them. What you got over there, Abuhe? Pounded what? No, smell that steamed fish, Abuhe.
I've got tears, man.
You know, because that's what happens, isn't it? I can just imagine at Arsenal. Who was there? We had Jack Wilshere, we had Jenkinson, or somebody Ramsey. Ramsey's Welsh, so he didn't know what was going on. I've never had pounded yam. It looks lovely.
Oh
shit. So how was it? You see, like, so
you're just gonna try to be serious now?
Like, you know what it is, yeah? As I started thinking, I was like, nah, I'm from this in man, you know.
Wow.
You know, you used to diss somebody in school, you're like, yeah, I'm sorry, man. Sorry, man. Like, everyone's laughing, and you're like, yeah, sorry, man.
But you felt bad in the end.
I'm sorry, but it was funny, innit? It was funny, man. Oh, man. So, like, what was it like playing for England at them times?
Yeah, England was obviously a massive honour. Playing for England is one of the best things you can do, but it was cliquey. Do you know what I mean? Like, you had all the United boys, all the Chelsea boys, all Liverpool.
Because Rio said the same thing recently on the pod. He said the same thing.
And them guys were like, it was real rivalry back then, you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
And then you had like the in-betweeners, all the other, like I was at Man City, Jolie Lescott was at Everton, Ashley Young was at Watford, and there might have been a couple more. And we just used to chill together. That's how I'm so close with Jolie now, because we met when we went to England, and it was just so awkward.
You had to fight bridges. That's mad.
It was just, you know what I mean? Latch onto somebody, please. Do you know what I mean? But in fairness, Steven Gerrard, like, you might have heard the story before though, but I didn't have my boots. Like, so you know, like, you have a kit man and whatnot to put your boots in when you're ready to go. So took down to England, like, first time being like, obviously, I got a call from Steve McLaren. It was in the barbers, but I put it down because I thought someone was joking, because I was only 18.
I heard this happens a lot.
Yeah, I thought it was joking when they said it. So I'm all excited. Normally I always take my own boots everywhere because I like to be prepared, but I thought it was a bit big time now. Do you know what I mean? Play for England, mate. You do my boots, man.
Yeah. I'm here for it still. I'm here for it.
So yeah, no, champion the kit man, he sent my boots, but he sent me 2 left feet.
Yeah.
So the first training session, I've got no boots.
Fuming.
Nah. So Stevie Gerrard lent me his boots on the first training session. Played Stevie Gerrard's boots. Man, I'm only 18. Yeah. Like, I've only made my debut. So I'm like starstruck. Even to have to ask, I've just said like, Kitman's give me the wrong boots. Like, and it was just like I rated him for that straight away, and he made me be able to settle in because of just that moment, and then. From that, he always asked if I was all right. So, yeah, big up Stevie Gerrard.
No, it sounds weird, because I think for us on the outside, I think the naivety for us as fans, we just think all you players know each other, because we only see you guys really, like, even like, let's say you're in a tunnel and you're like, oh, you're right, mate. And you just think everyone in England is all brethren. They must have played under 21s with each other. But then you realise, well, not everyone has played under 21s. You might have had some people who was playing football and didn't play football. So you never really understand what it's like for a player going to play for their country, but also feeling like, oh, like, okay, like, I don't even know no one here. Do you know what I mean?
You have to sort of build that respect, like, as soon as you go into training. Because I remember, like, I was a small name. Like, a lot of people saying, like, Richards, he played for Man City, was struggling in the Premier League. Like, if he was a winger, you knew what time it was because you weren't getting past me back in them boys. Everyone talking about marauding fullbacks. I started this marauding fullback nonsense. You know what I mean? Like, come on, give me some. You know what I mean? 18, me and Robin was having battles of our lives. That's Robin. Like Robin was saying, like, Bale, one of the hardest. So when you talk about this marauding, right? Like, listen, doing that back in the day. So, but when you go in training, that's where like you earn your respect. And if you train well or you do something good in training, that's when you see all the other pros. I'm like, oh, you want to speak to me now? You know what I mean? One of those ones. So, but that's like in anything in life, though, isn't it? Yeah, you know, you've got to work your way up to earn your respect. But I think it's difficult I think that's why I love what Gareth Southgate's done now, because he's integrated this sort of confidence and this belief within the group, no matter who you play with. And I think that's why they're playing a lot better than they did. Because if you look at the players he had, Ashley Cole, John Terry, Rio Ferdinand, Gary Neville, and then Scholes, Lampard, Gerrard, Joe Cole, Beckham.
Yeah, Beckham there. Michael
Owen, Hargreaves.
Even
Heskey, Big Heskey laying it down.
Yeah, Heskey. Yeah, it was, and it did seem like, it always felt like back then when, you know, a new player got like, this player's been called up to the England. It felt like a big deal. And we wanted to see that player because I always felt like the England team back then, it was like, how did this team, we always say now, when you look back at it, they should have won the World Cup. But I think when you look back at the tournaments, you can, from what you're saying, you can understand it now. If you're cliquey and all the Man United boys or United or Liverpool, etc., you can be like, well, I can understand why we might not have won the World Cup now, because everyone was all brethren. And, you know, after the game, you know, you want to sit down. You hear the Spanish squad eat paella together and all sit at a table and stuff. You know, I just feel like, what? You like England ain't doing that. No, over like playing chips or something, or, you know.
I think it's different over here though, because we build people up so much, don't we? You know what I mean? Like, they build me up. Like, I was talking about, I need to replace Gary Neville. I was only 18, 19, like, playing for England. Like, I'm going to be one of England's, I was not going to be one of England's best right backs. I've only played right back for 2 years. I was playing centre back in the youth team and centre midfield. Yeah, and now they're bigging me up to be the best right. I did a good job, you know what I mean? But I still had so much to learn. But like, to put this pressure on you just to bring you down. That's why you see when I'm doing my punditry now, I rarely pick out like faults in people until I've given them enough time to be able to do what they need to do. You know what I mean? Like, if you're experienced and you make a mistake, I'll call you out. But if it's a young player, you need time to improve.
And how is that pressure as a young player? If you're being, you know, touted as like, this guy's going to be the next big right back for England, he's going to replace Gary Neville. You know, he's at Man City. He's, you know, got this young squad around him. He's the next prospect to happen. How is it handling that pressure? Because I always, you know, I think like now sometimes the pressure happens earlier with social media. There's a lot of young players I know about through social media now where I can follow their Instagrams and see how they're getting on. Whereas back then, it was almost like, oh, this guy made his debut. Cool, I'm going to check out that guy and look out for him and hopefully he does well. So how did you handle that pressure back then?
Like, I was fearless when I was younger. I just didn't care about anyone. Like, I didn't care about anything. But then I started reading papers. I was getting 9 out of 10, 8 out of 10. And then there was a time under McLaren where we didn't qualify for the Euros. Lost to Croatia 3-2.
Yeah.
And then like,
I remember that, it was raining.
Yeah, it was raining.
He was holding that umbrella.
I'm not saying it. He gave me my debut. I'm not disrespecting him. I'm not there. Go there.
I just remember
it was tough. So then that's when it changed, when we didn't qualify. Like, I was reading papers. 4 out of 10, 5 out of 10. Oh, he's not good enough for this level now. Even though I was playing well up to that point in my England career, he needs to be put down to the 21s. He's not ready for this level. So then that's when I started thinking about things. Up to that, I was fearless. I didn't care. I got on the pitch and just trying to brook man up. Do you know what I mean? That's the way it was.
Yeah.
But then, as soon as I started reading, believing the hype, you know that I started believing the hype. I actually started to believe the hype. But then when it was negative, I started to believe the negative. And that's when And you talk about young players now, they're in a false sense of security because you look at the young boys now, they might play for Man United, they might have 500,000 followers. Do you know what I mean? But followers doesn't mean anything. You're not achieving nothing in life. If you're using your followers and your interaction's really good and you're using it, of course it is, but they get, again, in this false sense of security that having loads of followers is a good thing, and it sort of takes their mind off what they truly should be doing. It's working hard to be the best footballer that can be.
You see, for you playing football, did you have a lot of good people around you when you were playing professional football? At like your height?
You know what? No. I had family around me was always cool, but then like you see like different people coming from different angles, and you know you got these people around you who always wanna like they tell you what you want to hear. Do you know what I mean? So you can't sort of see the snake issues because they're telling you what you want to hear. Oh, you're brilliant. Oh, you should do this and do. You know what I mean? But then it's only like the older you get, you realise like he was just looking out for himself. Like you know what it's like as a black person. Like if you come from the hood, as you want to say, then when someone does well, everyone feels like you have to take everyone with you. You know what I mean? And I was paying for family members, still pay for family members now, paying for friends, paying for friends of friends. And then I just said to me like, I can't do this. I can't do this no more. You know what I mean?
That must be so hard as well, like, because I guess for yourself, at the time you're playing football, which is a sport which can change, you know, injury can change your whole life. You know, I think I'm very intrigued of American football. I watched the game, but I think I'm more intrigued about the sport side of it and the nutrition, and especially with NFL, because how much they put into it. You know, you got guys who are on mad contracts and guys who one injury and that's it, and they're done for. And I think with football, you know, you're concentrating on your game, whether you're in training, they're showing you this, and then it's like when you finish training, you've done your nutrition and your sports and your therapy, you go home and then you have to deal with that, where you should just be relaxing and chilling and enjoying the comforts of your nice car or your nice house or whatever. It must be really difficult. Do you know what I mean?
It's always difficult. Injury is the worst to deal with. Like injury, like when you're at football is so good because it takes your mind off so many things. It's like it's incredible. Like it saves so many people. That's why during the pandemic, having football on, it's just been amazing for people's mental health and whatnot. Like going home or not being able to play, like injury, like is like I you know how positive I am. I'm always laughing and joking, but injury like nearly sent me to depression because again, talk about believing the hype and whatnot, and then believing the negative. Then end of my career, I was at Aston Villa, and like I was come there as an experienced pro and whatnot, but then like my knee wasn't right. Tim Sherwood was there and whatnot. He was fine. Had a program, no problems. Another manager comes in, and then my knee was just like I was taking like five injections a week just to go out and train. Do you know what I mean? Like drawing fluid out and then pumping something into my knee, and that's how like mentally like sick it was because I was just like so obsessed with football. I didn't care about my health afterwards. But I didn't want to say goodbye to the game. You know what I mean? And then like when all you know from we talk about young, like playing football and whatnot, and then someone saying, "Oh, you're not good enough," or "You're out." I had like probably 5 knee injuries, 5 operations, and every time you tried to come back stronger, you tried to like prove that I was wrong and whatnot. But it was a tough time. That's the lowest I've ever been in football, and I didn't really have no one to talk to. I got one friend of mine called Madge. You know, we spoke and he helped me out massively. But like because you're the breadwinner of the family, not just your family, media, it's like friends. Like people think, oh, he can't be suffering, so you put on this like brave face all the time. I'm all right, I'm a man, I'm cool. But really, I was borderline depressed. Do you know what I mean? And people say, how can you be depressed earning 50 grand a week? Money's irrelevant. It's crazy. It sounds stupid to say that, but once you're in there and like money, you don't even think about the money. You just rather be happy. So when we talk about dark days and switching over, that was the hardest thing for me.
And how do you switch off from injury? What is there things that you find where you're like, because like anything, for me as a comic, when I'm at home, I don't watch comedy. That's the last thing I'm going to watch because that's what I do every day. I'm looking for the funny in everything to be like, I can write that in a joke. I could use that in a sitcom. I could possibly make that. That's how my life is. This is how it is every day. Whether it's business side of stuff, whether it's the stage, the future. That's how I look at it. So when I'm at home, I do the opposite. Cook, love cooking. Watch documentaries, animals. That's the stuff that really gets my mind away from what it is that is my passion and things that are just almost going back to like your hobbies as a kid. When you're kids, it's like painting. Why do you like painting? I don't know, I just like painting. It doesn't because they want to be an artist. It just relaxes them as such, relaxes their mind. So when you are injured, did you find new things that you liked, new things you wanted to explore?
No, I think once you're in football, and you can have hobbies and whatnot, but you're thinking, like, how could I get back? That's just on your mind. Don't forget, before I got injured, I was playing. When we won the league, I played more Premier League games than Zabaleta, who then went on to take my place. So when I'm injured, I'm not thinking about what can I do to keep my mind. I'm just thinking about how do I get back? What do I need to do? I need to work twice as hard of free time. I was working out 3-4 times a day. I overkill because you just want to be back in the team. And it's like imagine playing from 17, a team, you come through the academy, and at 24, 25, someone's taking your place in the team. How have you not learned to deal with that? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I had a setback when I was younger, but I always backed myself. I always thought no one's going to take my place. And that's why I rate Zabaleta, because he was in terms of ability wise, he didn't have ability of a Dani Alves or a Macon going forward, but he had heart, he had desire, he had everything that people talk about. So switching off for me, I never really switched off, man, if I'm being totally honest. I couldn't, and that's what made me nearly depressed in the end.
So you didn't play golf?
Golf? Me? You see the size of me, It might need not a chance. Not a chance. I did, to be fair though, I did a little bit of a clay pigeon shooting.
Okay.
Yeah. But there's
the barber jackets.
Yeah. The farmer camp. I'm up north, I can get away with that, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's crazy. I do the property stuff on the side and all that, but actually taking my mind away from it, it's difficult because I'm obsessed with football. That's why I went into punditry as well, because I'll watch every single game possible. I just love football. So not having it. If I want to pundit now, I don't know what I would do. I don't know about the coaching side because these young boys now a bit attitude. You know what I mean? I'm not attitude. You can't take that attitude.
You'd be like a roadman coach though. I think that's the kind of coach you'd be like. Do laps? No, do 10,000 press-ups. About laps, what? So you can run around and think and enjoy yourself. Nah, bro, pain cuts. Pain. So why do you say you didn't go into coaching? Because I think when I look at coaching now, a lot of people say coaching is very hard. You've got to do your badges and stuff. But would you say is it the challenge of coaching, or is it something in terms of coaching where you just that's just not the side of the game that I enjoy as such?
No, I will definitely do my coaching badges just so when I'm doing analysis and stuff I can think a bit more. But I left home at 14, 15, just left school. I think I left a couple months before my last year to go play for Man City. I left all my family, all my friends in Leeds behind me. I got loads of friends in Manchester as well. But people don't understand coaching is so hard. It's the pressure that comes with it as well. And there's good sides. I don't just want to talk about it's all bad. It's just great. Being in football is amazing. But I give so much to the game when I was young like I need to give more to my family. Like punditry allows me to watch games, do what I need to do, but still have the family life. Like if you want to be a good coach, I'm talking about top coaches, like best in the world. Like you don't get there's no rest time, 24/7. So for me, that doesn't work in what I want to do because I've given so much to football. Like got pretty much no knee. Like my knee will be swelling up now just from sitting here. Like I need to give some to my family. I've got a son now. He's going to be 4 in March, so I need to give some time. I don't want to be that parent that just brings home the money. You know what I mean? I want to spend time because you know what it's like. You know what I like? My dad's a Rasta, innit? Yeah, like he's not probably told me he's loved me in his whole life. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It's crazy. It's like that. It's like tough love, isn't it? You know what I mean? It's that tough love, like it's crazy. Like so, I need to make sure I'm there. I'm that parent that's there. It's true now. Tell me now. How many times your dad say Tell me. I bet you can count on one hand.
As soon as you said that, yeah, you watch them films and it all comes flashing back. I'm like, man's ever said it. Man was spy. Rasta spy. Yeah. Come and get a hug with you. Fair enough.
Exactly.
That one got me.
But just think about it though. I didn't just go, what do you go? Just think about it.
That one got me, man. Oh shit. Oh, that one really got me, boy.
But the thing is though, you're laughing because you know exactly. I'm telling you, because you know.
Woo. Oh man. So would you say now you finished punditry, like you're living life essentially? Because I think like as a footballer, you would live life essentially. You're playing football, which is what you love, your passion. You earn a great wage from it. But when I say living life, like you're living for your son, the family moments, experiences with your families.
Yeah, just more balanced life. I think like footballers, great life, unbelievable. Like, I won't take it back for nothing, but you can't enjoy life to the fullest because like you can't even go to I just want to go to McDonald's and have a Big Mac. I'm not worried about like getting weighed in the morning. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like, yeah, it's just all them sort of things where like routine. Up at 7:15 in the morning, like go to training, get your weight done. You can only eat this. Make sure you're here by that time. I'm just like, I didn't like it. I loved the football side, but I didn't like being told, "Oh, you got to do this, you got to do this" all the time. And now I'm just a bit more flexible. Like we know football is going to be a weekend, probably maybe a midweek game or whatnot. So that gives me working 3-4 maximum days a week, and then I can do my charity. My dad's got like some charity does in Ethiopia. I can help him with that stuff. Like I can go back to my old community in Chapeltown, help them with some just sort of stuff that I think they're gonna make a difference to me. Rather because when you're in it, like you know what the trajectory that you've been on, like sometimes it's just about work. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
And you don't get to actually enjoy. You know what I mean? Like you're so far in something that like you just lost within what you're doing, and it's like having that. It's a good mindset to have when you're working hard, but then you're forgetting like sometimes you have to step back and enjoy what you've got around you and appreciate what you have, rather than thinking, "Oh, what can I do next? What can I earn on this?" It's like that. I'm done chasing. You know what I mean? I'm done chasing, and that's why I love the punditry because I can give as much as I can, but then I can have my days off when I'm not working.
Yeah, I think it's so important because I know the first couple of years when I first ever started touring as a comic, I've always wanted to put on my own show as a comic. That was like my dream. I was going to have a show where it's me and everyone comes out for me and I can just do comedy. And when that first thing started happening, it was I remember I didn't see my mum in like 3 months. Like I'll speak on the phone, but not go down there or check my sister or whatnot and stuff. It was all those things where I was very much. It's 100%. You're so driven to work, and I think that also comes from how we've grown up, because we sometimes grow up in an environment where we know that like we've seen our parents work to get the nice sofa, but then I'm still gonna put the cling film on it because this is a nice sofa. I worked very hard for this, so what do you think? I just take off the cling film now? No, it's gonna keep there. Like there's a reason why we have the nice glasses in the cabinet. Do you know what I mean? I remember going to our friend's house. I'm like, you might drink out of wine glasses, juice. Well, we got them in a nice cabinet. And that's obviously because my mum looks after stuff and she's very proud of her stuff. But it's also like, but let's enjoy them, mum. Why we got these glasses in the cabinet? No one's coming round. Like, let's put a little Capri Sun in there, man. You know what I mean? A little sarsaparilla in that. You know what I mean? But 100%, I think it's definitely about really, I remember listening to Eddie Hearn recently on a podcast, and he said he had to sacrifice so much because he's always working, so he can't go to his daughter's birthdays and stuff like that. Was there a lot you had to sacrifice, would you say, for football?
Yeah, there was like, I didn't go to like parties when I was younger. I used to go to a place called Evo's. I think it was on the 15s or on the 16s. And my dad, like, he'd let me go like once when I didn't have football the next day. And like, I missed out on just enjoying that lifestyle of growing up, going from boy to a man. And my dad just said, like, if you want it, then leave all that aside. And at the time, you're like, no, man. Like, kissing your teeth. Just like, what do you mean? You don't understand. You don't understand back then. But he's seen the bigger picture. Let's say there's been certain things in my life that, because I've got 4 sisters and 3 brothers, and like it's difficult because we've not all got the same mums and whatnot. I just feel like because I didn't live with them all, like I've missed part of their life, if you know what I mean. And I wish football, like when I talk about sacrifices, I've gone 10, 15 years without really knowing my own brothers and sisters because they're not in my household. So you talk about sacrifices, like, the many times when sisters coming round or going to a party and whatnot, go see them and I've not got that relationship with my own family at times. Talk about that driven, no. And when we talk about sacrifices, it's just, but now looking back, I don't regret it because I had to do something to get to a place where I can be here now, being with you. But now I know that it's not all about the money, the fame. It's not. I tell you, people watching this, like, of course we all want more followers, we all want more money, of course we do, but it's not the epitome. That's just the bonus. 100%. It's just the bonus, and like I tried to hammer this point home so much, but people, when you're in it, you don't see it. You know what I mean? And I'm like, and what I might need to live might be different to you. So everyone's got to be comfortable in what they want. I can't speak on there, but like why I'm so happy now is because I'm just content. I'm not chasing anything. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I can go like, I'm in London now. If COVID wasn't here, I'd go see my sister who lives in London. I passed by my sister in Birmingham when I go back. I go to Manchester, you know what I mean? All the things that I couldn't do. So when we talk about sacrifices there's been times in my life where I've wanted to do things and more for the family, but I had to try and see the bigger picture like my dad installed me from a young age.
It's so important that you say that, but it's always so weird because it feels like what you're saying is almost really like hitting home at the same time, because it's true what you're saying. Like a lot of these things are a bonus at times. We work so much to have these things, and I think for me, being in a position that I got into, being stand up and then TV, is that I got into a position of like, I can buy the garms I want to buy. I can go into the shops. I can afford to be here. I can go to these places. And it's until you go, you're like, this isn't me. I'm chasing something which is going to make me happy for 5 minutes. And then after that, I'm like, I don't want that stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like, the things that make me happy now is so, like, I'll say to people, it's like I love, one of my favorite things is, you know, we're here tonight up the creek. I love putting on a small show here. 50 people, you can give me 20 people. I will not want to leave the stage. Ask the guys here, you'll be like, yo, big man, I need to go, bro.
Yeah.
We're filming this content.
Yeah.
And one, I love comedy. That's given me my personality. It's been able to make me travel, meet the people who are in my life today. But going home, watching like the TV, chilling with my girlfriend, and just that for me is it. It's it. I used to be young at a point where I was like, yeah, I want to go out raving. And then be in the rave and be tired. Do you know how stressful that is when there's a banging tune and you're like, I want to go home, boy. And I think it definitely comes with maturity, 100%. But it's always interesting when you do get to that point and you realize it, you know, because sometimes you do it, you don't realize it, or even like small things like Christmas. Just want to give people their presents and just see their reactions, whether they like it or not. Sometimes when they don't like it, I'm like, boy, you got a receipt. Yeah. You know what I mean? But it's the really small moments of life that really make you enjoy living it as such. And it is, you know, for everyone, they will get there at different points. But it's so interesting you say that, because as you're saying it, I'm like, yeah, that's like me, boy. I just like doing that. You see, the other day I was craving, what was I craving? A Tango Ice Blaster. I drove for 45 minutes to get a Tango Ice Blaster. Sat in my car and I was like, I said, oh man, that's all I wanted. that is all I wanted.
That's all you needed.
Yeah, bro. Now, if that was me 3 years ago, man would have bought a Tango Ice Blaster machine.
Yeah.
They'd be like, I got the machine. Tango Ice Blaster for everyone, cuz. But it was just like, let me just go shop. Just buy a Tango Ice Blaster. That's all I wanted. And it just made me so happy. There's those small things, you know. I wanted to ask you a little bit about how it was when you're at Man City. You know, you're playing. It's the last game of the season. It's you and United. Now, this really brings me a bit of joy, yeah, because obviously I'm an Arsenal fan. I've got a lot of friends who support United, innit? And I remember this day very vividly, because I think Arsenal, we were trying to get top four at the time. For us, I was like, hey, we got top four. We won that, but we got top four. That used to be our little trophy for a little while, yeah. Now it's the end of the season. It's like Man City, United. You know, this is the last day of the season. Man City need to win. United need to win. So that, what is going through your mind when you're playing this game? What is 2-2?
Yeah.
You're drawing with QPR of all teams. Whole season, you ain't been doing nothing. But now today, and then because I remember watching it, I think it was on BT Football Focus. They're showing each bits and stuff. So it's 2-2. What is going through your mind at that point? Because you say, yeah, you know, winning the Premier League. What's happening? What's going on? What is the moment?
You know what? I was annoyed because I got injured, pulled my hamstring about 4 or 5 games before. And I played the majority of that season, like I mentioned. So then, like, I wasn't saying I was bitter, but you know, like, I can be honest about. I think I was disappointed that I wasn't starting. Do you know what I mean? Because like everyone says it's a team sport and all that, but it's not. It's individual within a team. Do you know what I mean? You're trying to be the best you can be, 100%. But you're trying to do that for the team, of course. So then, like, Zabaleta scored the first goal, so I'm on the bench. So, how unlucky is this? You know what I mean?
That could have been you.
That could have been me. Could have been me again. Zabaleta again. Why?
Yeah.
Anybody him? He should have been why always me. He should have been why always with me. Do you know what I mean? Instead of Mario.
Yeah.
But yeah, like the emotions went from sort of should have been playing this to then actually I don't care because we're winning this. But they score. But then they score again.
2-1.
But then Big Dzeko, one of the most underrated players in the Premier League.
Yeah.
Left foot, right foot. He gets the header to me. And then Aguero. So like Mario's warming up before.
So do you know the score at this time? What's going on with United at Sunderland?
So no, we don't know nothing. We don't know nothing. We don't know nothing about like because Mancini was like, there's always people who look, but Mancini was like, don't look at any score, concentrate on the game. Do you know what I mean? Because don't forget, like we were supposed to win this game 5-0. It was tense to see the people I was beating up in the seats in the crowd. Like, what's going on here?
But can you hear it from the crowd?
It's crazy. It's just, no, you can hear it like it was silent. It was silent. Imagine 50,000 people, but it's silent.
It must be mad because that's 50,000 people coming to be like, I'm going to be here the day we win it. But now you're losing 2-1.
And there's some City fans who be like, some City fans still believing because like City in history have been known to let themselves down, but then have magical moments. So like some City fans who are still believing. So when Dzeko scored, like just started, people are starting to stand up in their seats like, if we do this. Then like before that, me and Balotelli warming up, Balotelli said to me, because I'm like in tears at this point. Me personally, I'm like we're blowing it away. Like I'm probably not going to win a Premier League again. This is probably my only chance. So then, Balotelli said, "Yeah, don't worry. When I go on, I'm gonna score. I'm gonna set one up. I'm gonna win this. Don't worry." And I swear,
is that what he said?
I swear, because it's just like different. Like the way he thinks, he's just so confident and he believes in his ability to the max. So then, like, come on, and then
because now it's like you're in like 80th, 90th minutes now.
Yeah, 80th, 90th minute. But then after Dzeko scored, what was it, 93rd minute, 93-20, something like that. Balotelli, his only assist he's had for Man City. Never had an assist in his life. He doesn't pass the ball. Yeah, he passes to Aguero. Yeah, and Aguero just like.
When the ball went to Aguero, you knew that was going to go in the back of the net.
100%. I didn't even think about it. But he seemed like the way he took a little touch, like a lot of strikers would have hit it first. He took that extra touch and then put it like near post. I was just like, this guy is just. That was all emotions. It couldn't. You know what it was when that moment came back. I had like a flashback to when I was like young. Sounds weird. It's not like a film. You know what I mean? Like, but you know, you have like sports. A flashback. And it was just like, I don't really get like emotional. Like, I'm just always happy. I'm just like, but like, it made me emotional. Like, everything that I'd been working for had come together. And like, my dad's in the crowd and whatnot. And he never really like shows emotion. But you could see it in his face this time that he was proud, and that was enough for me to come on the pitch and everything. Wow. It was just, man, and then the place just erupted. It was like, wow. And it was the greatest moment of my life to be part of that team. It was amazing. Best day of my life.
And what a way to win it though. Like, over your arch rivals and scoring in the last time, almost like the last kick of the game.
You know what's funny though, because we've seen it afterwards. Like you guys were celebrating. Well, not you guys. Man United were celebrating.
Yeah.
So like I see Phil Jones and he's like he'd heard the news, but we're gonna see this like later on. Yeah. So like they was winning up until that point. They was done, and then to win it like that on the last day, on the last minute of the game. You can't, if you write that as a book, you just think it's far fetched. It's just stupid. Like, you know, remember what was that football program called when we was younger? Do you remember it? I can't remember what it was called. And they always used to score in the last minute, something ridiculous. I used to watch this. You're like, this is never going to happen.
Brentford Regents.
Yeah, no. I remember Brentford. There was another one, a cartoon sort of one. But I remember Brentford Regents. That was ridiculous.
That was better.
I used to like that though. It was a ridiculous program though.
The Black Key was the reporter in the dress.
So yeah, when it happened in the last minute, you're thinking, it's far fetched, but it happened. Greatest day of my life, man.
And how is it looking back at that? Because we see that clip. I think it's up there as one of the greatest sporting moments in the history of sports. If you tell people the story behind it, arch rivals, the first ever Premier League title in history, it's up there with any. I think what I always like about sports there's moments in sport. Sometimes I might not have been around to witness it, but watching it back, I feel, oh my God, I feel nervous watching this. I was watching The Last Dance, Micah Gilligan. And there's times when I'm watching that and I'm like, I know what's going to happen already. But even like, oh my God, and then what? And then he wasn't well. And they had to go, oh my God. And I feel like this is just me watching it back now in the documentary, let alone living it, breathing it, and feeling it. You know, you spoke about some of your members that you played with in that squad. You know, what was it playing like with Balotelli?
Honestly, what a guy.
Yeah.
He's just like, you know, like he's one of the people who like joke, but then he just carries on the joke. He doesn't know when to say no, you know what I mean? Yeah. And he's just like such a nice, like humble character in terms of like charity work and stuff like that. But it was just like, he was only young when he came to Man City. What was he, 19, 20, something like that. And I loved him. I loved him. Him and Mancini, like, was crazy. They just used to argue every day in training. When I'm talking every day in training, like, but like, nearly come to like fighting. Do you know what I mean? But Mancini, like, loved him, and he got away with like murder because he's seen his potential, and like some of the crazy stories about him, like a lot of them are true. Like it's not even one of them where they're talking nonsense. It's true. Like a lot of them are true, but you can't like his heart. He's got a heart of gold. He'll do anything for anyone. Yeah. So when people try to say, "Oh, he's not," he just takes the joke too far. And all you know, like we all do things, and there's always one who gets caught. Yeah. He always gets caught, and but like he was one of my favorite people. I still speak to him now. Yeah. One of my favourite people of all time.
And speak to me about Yaya Toure, because I was at Soccer Aid and we were talking about ex-pros, and a lot of the players were talking about Yaya Toure's ability of like playing against that guy. You know, Rio said it recently that guy playing against him, was just different level. What was it like being in a squad with Yaya Toure?
Him and David Silva, the best two players for City. Aguero scores goal, but Yaya Toure was just, like, he was like a complete player. He was fast, he was strong, he was intelligent, he had technique, he could shoot, he could defend, he could do everything. Like, and I'm just thinking, like, how have we managed to get this player here? And like, if he would have been there probably a bit longer, he probably would have went down as best ever player in City's history. Silva was there a little bit longer than him. Kevin De Bruyne is doing madness at the moment. Bits. But Yaya Toure, like, he could win a game by himself. Anyway, like scoring free kick, like running from one box to the other. Like, and it was weird because Yaya Toure, like, he wasn't arrogant, but he had, like, if you said certain things to him, like, he'd just not look down at you, but just like look at you like, what you talking about? But as he got to know him more, like, he proper opened up, and he had good banter, he had everything, and it was just like, it was an honour to play with. I never thought I would play with that caliber player. Yeah, it's just incredible. He's an incredible player. Like Steve Gerrard's a big shout because Steve Gerrard did it consistently in the Premier League for a while. But in terms of, like, having everything, Yaya Toure is right up there. Yeah. It's so I'm always in awe of listening to ex-pros speak of just how the game was, how they play, because it's so fun to hear it now that it's not now that you've finished playing football, but we as fans don't get to hear you speak like this when you're playing football. So when you saying this stuff now, I could sit here for 3 hours and just ask you, so what was Mayman like? But it's honestly like Micah, man. It's like you're someone who's very like this is the first time we proper met. We spoke a few times online and stuff. It was the first time, but I feel like I've met you for a long, long time.
And you're a very warm, like nice person. Do you know what I mean? Like you're a very warm, good to do person, you know. And it's really interesting what you're doing now, you know, especially as a pundit as well. You know, you got this documentary, you know, where you're speaking about racism within the game. Has that affected you as a footballer? You know, racism, because you said you were speaking about coaching, and you know there isn't any black coaches in the Premier League. You know, I don't want to be the person to say that's down to racism. Is the game ready for that? Is that someone that's going to get scrutinized as a black manager, or are they just going to be a manager? Do you know what I mean? What's your thoughts?
It's a sensitive issue, isn't it? Because not a lot of people like to talk about it, or are uncomfortable talking about it. The Wolves manager, in fairness, he's African, so he considers himself as being in the black category. But yeah, it's in football. I've had racism all my life. But you know, when you're young, you don't talk about me from Chapel Town. If someone's racist, you just want to fight them. You know what I mean? But you have to, like, the older you get, the wiser you become. And it is difficult in certain aspects, because sometimes you see players with not the same ability getting better chances. And, you know, a lot of people said when they was growing up, they felt like they had to be twice or 3 times as good to get an opportunity, which in some cases it's correct. But when someone's racist now, I tend to ask them, like, ask them what's going in their mind, because it's easy to just call someone a racist. You know what I mean? And a racist is a strong term, and no one likes that word, and no one, even when people say, well, that wasn't racist, like they're already on the back foot, because it's one of them issues that it's difficult. It's a fine line between getting the right wording. And I've had racism all through my life, from getting on a train, from social media.
Did you ever have it as a player when you was playing?
You know what? That's crazy. I had a couple of, like, maybe monkey shoutings, but I've never physically had it as a player, which is there was a couple. I think there was under 21s in Germany or whatnot, but I think that was more collective. But I've never had someone never said on the football field anything racist to me, professionally. When I was young, when I was Leeds, and I was the only black guy in the team. My dad was on the side, Bob Marley music would be playing and whatnot, and like, I would be people like, who's that black guy over there? But when I was young, I didn't really understand it. I didn't really know. I used to take it on the chin, and we talk about the dads before. Dad didn't really speak to me about certain issues. You know, I've got a documentary out now, like highlighting some, and it's not. I've got a documentary not to blame anyone, because some of the most prominent people in my life have been white. Do you know what I mean? And I feel like sometimes when the race issue is mentioned, like, some people think, oh, they're tarnishing everyone with the same brush. You know what I mean? And that's not what I want to do. My role is to understand why people think that way, and try to educate them to why this is happening, and give them examples as to, well, this is what I'm going. Because a lot of people say, like, you know what I hate the most is when someone says, like, oh, he's playing the race card. What does a race card even mean? Like, and that hurts me deep. You know what I mean? That's what it was like. Well, here we go again. Here we go. He's preaching again. Do you know what I mean? I'm just like, forget that for 1 minute. Just like, listen to what I'm saying. And racism in football will always be there, probably in our lifetime. But it's getting better. It really is getting better. And I wish, like, I'm good friends with Joe Hart and James Milner, and I've opened their eyes up to loads of different things, and they're willing to learn. You know what I mean? And willing to understand, like, what black people have to go through in everyday life. But it's a conversation that needs to be ongoing. It's not about when I made this documentary. It's not about, I'm documenting because I'm trying to get my name out there or anything like that. It's just like something that's come from my heart. The money that I made from it is going to charity anyway. I'm in it for the long run. I'm not just here to, because you see these people that come on the scene and they've got this motive. Like, I've got enough money. I don't need to make no more money. Like I said, we talk about content and content, but it's about helping not just black people. Black people, of course, you've got to help your black community, but it's helping about everyone in society to try think a little bit different. And I think that's where it comes a little bit sticky as well, because sometimes when you shout racism, then it causes a little bit of a divide when it needs to be more. No, I'm not trying to divide people. I'm just trying to educate. Exactly that.
Yeah, 100%, man. Because I seen a quote where you said, with this documentary, it's about, this new young generation that are watching football. It's about educating them. The older generation, it's a lost cause at times. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think, like, if the older generation, are you going to change their mind? Probably not. So that's totally fine. It's free speech. You can think what you think. But when the players are kneeling and the younger generation asking why they're kneeling, it's just for equality within society. Simple as that. It's not about Black Lives Matter, the political movement. It's just about equality. Simple as that. And that you teach your kids, and that's how they learn. We can't do nothing with generations above us because they've already made that mind up. But they can. It's about the next generation. Everyone's always talking about, when people, you ask me a question, like, I'll answer on behalf of me, but I've got to think about the next generation because that's what we're sending the information to. You know what I mean? They'll be on the earth longer than us. It's about setting that example for them. That's the most important thing to me.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing it as well because it's so nice to see. You can do the punditry stuff. You played football, but it's really good to see when you are in that position, especially what it's like when you're from the black community. They're like, cool, I see man on the TV, but come on, big man, like do something for the community, innit? And it's having these opportunities where you're like, you could make a fun TV show. You and Roy Keane on the road trip adventure, which everyone's talking about. And don't get me wrong, I would love to see that. You know what I mean? That would be so funny. But at the same time, if you can create something like this and it can change even just one person's mindset, you're just like, that was so much. That's what it's for. That's what it's worth doing it for. Do you know what I mean?
But exactly that. The reason why I believe it was a success of documentaries is because it was just real to me. It's not about pleasing anyone. It's not about getting plaudits or whatnot. Like, I watched it and I'm happy. I interviewed, Gary Neville, who was amazing on it. Andy Cole, like some of these legends. The Stoke women, as a black woman in women's football, always gonna be tough. So it's not just about my opinion or what I've been through. They're giving their opinions of what they've been through as well. So it was nice. I thought the balance of it was really good. But I have to reiterate, I'm not trying to blame anyone because we was brought up how we in a Rastafarian household, not being told we love. So if someone's been told, black people are this or black people that, can you blame that person? You know what I mean? You have to understand why they think that. And I think nowadays we're too much judgmental or the racist. All right, there might be, and cool. Like, I'd be the first one to stand up if someone's racist, especially with my the profile I'm having on these networks, of course. But we don't want to sort of soften the rate. We want so much racist. We want it to be proper because otherwise, people again are going to say, "Oh, here we go again," and that's what I'm trying to get. And anything I can do to help in my community, I will do because I know it's important. It really is.
Oh man, Micah, man, you're just good vibes, man.
Always good vibes.
You're just good vibes, man. And it's so honestly, man, it's such a pleasure for you coming on this pod as well because I don't know, you just seem like good vibes, man. And the amount of times people This was a random white guy. He's like, man, Mo Gilligan. He don't know look like that Micah Richards.
With the hat on, yeah, I've seen it. I kettle cats and all that.
He don't know look like brothers. Jesus Christ. Your dad's a wrestler. He's dead. They've got to be brothers. Oh man, I was getting that so much, man.
Yeah.
You can't say you don't know look like Micah Richards, Mo Gilligan. Oh man, but honestly, it's been such a pleasure having you on the podcast. This is the first time we proper connected, just proper like meeting you in the flesh and stuff. And honestly, I just really want the best for you, like doing this punditry stuff, because you're just a joy to watch. Sometimes, I'll be watching games that I don't really watch, but it's nice to have a bit of humanity in it. Do you know what I mean? Just someone just laughing, having good vibes, but can still do the professional job. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's been a pleasure.
Thanks
Thank you for coming on the podcast. And yeah, man, next time we just hang out, get a couple of cans.
Have a look at
Get a couple of cans.
Julie.
I know you love that one from when you walked in the room. Couple of cans. Julie. But nah, man, guys, if you did enjoy, make sure you like, subscribe, and don't forget to use the hashtag the Mo Gilligan podcast. Take care. Peace.